I'm sorry I can't be with you tonight, but I'd like to also extend my welcome to our honored guests, to our students, their families and friends, and to the speakers who are here with us tonight, and especially to Jacinda, who has taken time from her busy schedule to be here. And Jacinda, let me say that since we're here to acknowledge our students and alumni, I'd like to say that we're very proud of your achievements thus far and appreciate the work that you continue to do. Congratulations to all of our student winners. I'd like to extend a special shout out to Malcolm Dew, who was the top performer in my Managing Conflict and Consensus class this year, or last year, and also to all of the students who are here. And also, obviously, congratulations to Graham, whom we'll talk about in just a few moments. This is the 5th year that we have had this award in place, and the 5th year that we have had this sort of a ceremony. And it's become quite an important annual event for us. It's an opportunity for us to acknowledge, recognize, reward, and thank our students and alumni. And I say thank because teaching, like many communication processes, is at its best a two-way process. And just as we're teaching our students, we learn from them as well. And we're often inspired by them as well as learning from them. This event is also an opportunity for us to celebrate what we value: ethical, effective, and inspiring communication practice. Communication practice that helps organizations to improve the quality of their working life for staff. It helps organizations to offer better services and communicate those services to all of us, whether that's as customers, clients, or citizens. In the 5 years that we have had this award in place, we have been inspired by the nominees and the winners. So I'd like to take just a moment to tell you about the winners from the 5 years. In the first year, 2004, we gave the award to Fleur Postel. At the time, Fleur worked for an organization called Wise Management Services, which is here in Hamilton. And Wise Management Services is a nonprofit organization that is devoted to providing infrastructure support to organizations in the mental health care sector. And Fleur was instrumental in setting up the communication function at that organization, and ultimately she was instrumental in helping that organization to communicate their services and to provide their services to their clients and ultimately to the people who needed those services. The next year we had co-winners, Carl Billington and Daniel Rummer. Carl worked for the Inland Revenue Department, and we recognized the work that he did in improving workplace well-being for the staff at IRD. Daniel, even though he was very early in his career, had had a number of very impressive projects that he had worked on. I particularly remember Daniel as working on the electoral campaign for one of Hamilton's most effective mayors, and not coincidentally, that effective mayor had been a communication professional himself, who we're quite proud of, and of course I'm talking about Michael Redman. 2 years ago, we gave the award to Jenny Ryan, who was also very early in her career. She worked on a number of interesting projects, one of which was to market New Zealand apples overseas. But the particular project that Jenny worked on that caught our eye was the Extreme Everest Expedition. The Extreme Everest Expedition was an innovative initiative that brought scientists and physicians together to study human responses in extreme conditions. And Jenny worked on that project and was instrumental in promoting it so that it got the support that it needed in order to be successful and for that research to be able to take place. Last year, we gave the award to Alice Clements. Alice also had a number of interesting positions, including working for Air New Zealand. At the time that we gave her the award, she was working for an organization called Mary Stopes International. Now, Mary Stopes International is a nonprofit organization that works to alleviate poverty and to save the lives of women and their families through reproductive health care services and reproductive health care education. And Alice, again, was instrumental in gaining the promotion for that organization so they could get the support they needed to deliver those services, and also to work with the communication process to make sure that people understood the services that were available and so that those services could be delivered. And now this year, of course, we give the award to Graham Bethune. I'm really happy about this particular award winner because I can remember 14 years ago now when I first came to the Waikato Management School as a visitor that I saw Graham's smiling face and experienced his engaging manner as I came into the school because Graham was the public relations director for the school at the time. And I remember when I came back as permanent staff that Graham came into my office and welcomed me with a gift of a WMS umbrella. At the time I thought that was a sort of a nice little token, but the longer I lived in the Waikato, I realized how important a large umbrella was. So thank you, Graham, for that. And I can honestly say that the sort of hospitality and warmth that I experienced from Graham and others is what made me think that WMS would be a good place for me to continue my career. Now, Graham will tell you a bit about his recent work in just a few minutes. But I would just like to say that Graham's recent work, like many of our other award winners that I've just told you about, has been to use his considerable communication expertise to bring about important social outcomes. In Graham's case, of course, his recent work has been for the Ministry of Health. You know, like many skill sets, communication skills can be used for good or evil. Hitler, for example, used his for evil. Others, like Churchill, Martin Luther King, have used theirs for good. Our award winners that I've just told you about have used their communication expertise to improve workplace well-being, to alleviate poverty, to bring about better health for people in this country and overseas, and a number of other important social outcomes as well. And I think that's pretty impressive and worth talking about because many of you may have seen the headline that is being shown on the screen just now. Spin doctors' jobs in line to cut bureaucracy. Now, the government in late March, early April announced its intention to cut the bureaucracy. And I think it's interesting that the announcement came in focusing on public relations jobs. Why do you suppose that was? One of the things that we do as communication researchers is to ask why certain messages are used and what the effects of those messages are. I think the reason that particular message was used in this case is pretty obvious. PR positions are an easy target. Well, why are they an easy target? They're an easy target because many people associate public relations, just as the phrase in the headline does, with spin. With spin, sometimes with deception, sometimes with propaganda, sometimes with other negative terms. But if you look at what our award winners have done, you see that there's another side, a very positive side. You know, we live in a complex world that has complex problems and complex solutions. We're bombarded with messages from more sources than ever before. Communication as a profession has grown to help us deal with that complexity. Now, a government, of course, is obligated to review how it provides services, how it spends our tax dollars, and to make sure that it is using those tax dollars efficiently. But please do not assume that the growth in communication professionals is simply a sign of waste. Communication practitioners enable organizations that deliver services such as the ones that I've described to you with our award winners, to deliver services in a way that people understand and that get the promotion and attention that they deserve. Communication practitioners also help people to communicate their problems, their concerns, and their priorities to those people who are in a position to make a difference. It doesn't mean that communication isn't used by individuals and organizations sometimes to deceive, sometimes to spin. Of course, that's the case. But at their best, communication practitioners help us to make the world a better place. That's what Graham's been doing in the work that he does, and that's why we're so proud to have him as an alumnus of this university and of our program. Thanks, Graham, for the work that you're doing. Congratulations, and keep up the good work.